on Pearl.
Welcome back to TVB News. Chinese university researchers have taken part in a global study on treating patients who suffered a minor stroke. Results showed early detection and treatment significantly reduced the chances of a severe stroke. Rani Samtani tells us more.
More than 3,000 Hong Kong people are treated at public hospitals for transient ischemic attack, or TIA, every year. The condition is commonly known as a mini or minor stroke. Researchers at the Chinese University of Hong Kong explained that symptoms of TIA and stroke are very similar.
At the very early phase of the symptoms, is actually we can't distinguish the two conditions. Many of these patients would just disregard their symptoms because they might just go away in a few minutes, and if they're not aware of their symptoms, they might develop a really bad stroke weeks or months later.
The university recently led a global study on TIA. Out of more than 4,000 patients, 78% of them were evaluated by a specialist within 24 hours of having symptoms.
This patient need to have to see a specialist within 24 hours. And then we have an investigation, like the brain scan, like the imaging of the blood vessels, like checking your ECG, your heart rhythm.
Patients were then prescribed medication depending on their condition and underlying illnesses. Results show that if treated within 12 to 24 hours, the chances of developing a stroke within a week went down from 5% to 2.1%. And the stroke rate within 3 months fell drastically from 12% to 3.7%. So, early treatment for TIA reduced the risk of developing a stroke by about 70%. TIA has several telltale symptoms and warning signs. If you notice numbness or weakness of the face and limbs, difficulty in speaking, or blurred vision either in yourself or someone else, it is important to seek medical attention. While TIA doesn't cause permanent brain damage, the researchers stress that you get a medical exam immediately to prevent the risk of stroke. Rani Samtani, TVB News.
Research jointly led by the University of Science and Technology and an overseas university has made a potential breakthrough in finding a treatment for Alzheimer's disease. In the past 3 years, the research team carried out tests by injecting a human protein called IL-33 into mice. The mice used in the experiment had an Alzheimer's-like disease. Results showed the protein reversed the symptoms of Alzheimer's. Researchers saw improvements in the mice's memory and brain function after a week. But the study has not yet shown how long the effects of the treatment last. There is also no evidence to prove the finding will help treat humans. The team hopes to conduct a clinical trial and ultimately produce a drug to cure Alzheimer's disease.
A number of bars and clubs defended their gender-based pricing policies today, and they're planning to offer gentlemen's nights to pacify the anti-discrimination watchdog. This follows a recent court ruling which said ladies' nights promotion by a club discriminated against men. Adam Shu reports.
The Equal Opportunities Commission won a landmark court case last week against a club operator accused of breaching the sex discrimination ordinance for charging men more than women at his ladies' nights. Hitting back today, Hong Kong Bar and Club Association Vice Chairman Chin Chung Wing says the ruling should not be seen as a precedent. He pointed out the defendant did not appear in court. Chin explained that the operator in question would rather pay the claimant damages than fork out for lawyers. The association will put together a team of voluntary lawyers to help its members out in future cases. Chin stressed ladies' nights, which have been around for decades, is a gimmick to attract female, thus male customers, and is by no means discrimination. While encouraging businesses to carry on with ladies' nights, Chin said gentlemen's nights would also be offered to pacify the EOC, even though it makes no business sense. Meanwhile, the Liberal Party Youth Committee protested at the EOC today, arguing business promotion is nothing discriminatory. In response, the watchdog insists promotional activities must not override gender equality. About 100 bars in Hong Kong are offering ladies' nights. Chin estimates that if the gimmick is scrapped, these bars would lose more than half their revenue on these nights. Saying business is already hard right now, he hopes the EOC would give local bars a break. Adam Xu, TVB News.
Overseas again, and Britain's Queen Elizabeth II turns 90 today, and the UK has celebrated with gun salutes and ceremonies. Britain's oldest and longest-serving monarch spent the day at home and took a short walk. Apart from gun salutes and fireworks, there have been televised retrospectives of a life that has stretched from the roaring 1920s to the internet age. She became queen on the death of her father, King George VI, in 1952. A majority of Britons have lived under no other monarch. British Prime Minister David Cameron led the many tributes today, saying the Queen has been steadfast, a rock of strength for the UK, the Commonwealth, and on many occasions for the whole world.
Harriet Tubman, an African-American anti-slave crusader, will be the new face on the $20 bill. The famous abolitionist will become the first African-American on U.S. paper money and the first woman in more than a century. Tubman will replace former U.S. President Andrew Jackson, a slave owner, pushing him to the back of the $20 bill. She was born into slavery in the early part of the 19th century. Tubman became active in the campaign for women's suffrage after the American Civil War. She died in 1913.
She brought many, many people out of slavery through the Underground Railroad by time and again risking her own life to save others. She did intelligence for our Army during the Civil War. After she worked to get the women's suffrage movement going. It's a great American story about how if you care about our democracy, it doesn't matter where you come from and it doesn't matter what you started out with. You can change our country.
All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
That's right. More NBA playoffs to talk about. The top teams are finding very little resistance in their first-round playoff matches. The Los Angeles Clippers beat the Portland Trail Blazers to take a 2-0 lead in their Western Conference Series. James Wong has more.